Turn up the dive, feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember I. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member ride. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the Untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Spectrum here on the Untold Radio Network. I am your host, Barnaby Jones, from Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. We have a great guest lined up on today's show. It's going to be an awesome show. Looking forward to this. But first, guys, coming up, if you want to meet myself and my team in person, we are going to be at UFO Days this coming Saturday in Elmwood, Wisconsin on July 26th. It is a big 3-day event. Let's take a look at this. So they have all kinds of stuff going on starting today on Thursday. They have a kids community event. They have stuff coming up on Friday with food trucks, ugly truck contest, UFO medallion hunt, inflatables, all kinds of stuff. And then Saturday is the fun run with the looks like classic car show. There's going to be vendors as well downtown, and I will be speaking along with the Infinite Rabbit Hole. Will be speaking on UFOs in Elmwood, and Darkwoods Paranormal will be speaking as well. They are doing some other awesome events with Mars Attacks movie to wrap things up there. And then the event continues on Sunday as well. So this is Elmwood, Wisconsin. If you guys are in the area, come out, say hi, and check out an awesome event. And then, guys, coming up in September, I'm going to be at Silcon in Gaze, Illinois for their convention down there. We will have the Hide and Adventure exhibit on display for all of you interested in that. It is September 19th and 20th. And then we head to Van Meter Visitor Festival in Van Meter, Iowa on September 27th. And we will be at the Neenah Public Library for a presentation on investigating and exploring the paranormal, followed by an actual paranormal investigation that you can join of the Neenah Public Library. Going to be a lot of fun. Next year, guys, we head to Cape Girardeau, Missouri for CapCon, Missouri, April 17th and 19th, and CapCon, Wisconsin, May 8th through the 10th in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. So a lot of cool stuff coming up. With that being said, today's show is live. So if you have any questions or comments throughout the show, throw them in the comments section and we will get to them as soon as possible. Good morning, Lee. Welcome to the show. All right, guys, let us get to our guest today. All right, my guest is Alex Gaska. She is a professional psychic medium, a paranormal investigator, a demonologist, artist, and more. Alex helps people connect to their departed loved ones, rid evil out of their people and their homes, and enlighten people. And today she is here to enlighten all of us on the Paranormal Spectrum. Please welcome Alex to the show. Alex, thanks for being here.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for coming. Cape Con. Lee says, Cape Con, should I wear a cape? Yes, you should definitely wear a cape to the event, Lee. Thank you. Lee has a wonderful drinking game during my show where whenever I mess things up, she calls me out on it. So there we go.
Oh, that's funny.
Awesome.
At least you're keeping it fun, you know?
Oh, yes. yes. Lee's a lot of fun. She's from right here in Wisconsin. We know her and hang out with her at a lot of events as well. So
that's awesome.
Lee's always fun to be in the audience here. So let's I want to start a little bit a backstory here, because I'm always interested when we have mediums and stuff on of a couple things. And first of all, how did you first know that you had these abilities? How did they first manifest, and what was your initial reaction to all of that?
So I grew up, one, in a very haunted house, and then on top of it, I want to say I was around 4 or 5 years old, actually. And the one specific time, you know, my parents were sharing a car at the time. My dad, me, and my brother, we had to go pick up my mom from work at night. And on our way back, we would pass by the cemetery. And I remember at night, while we were like on our way home, I was watching a man like hunched over with his cane or whatever crossing the street. And he wasn't paying attention. And I was like, Dad, you're going to hit that man in the street. And my parents were getting so mad at me. They're like, you know, don't pretend like that. You're scaring us. We don't want to be hitting people. And I'm like, are they blind? Like, are they not seeing what I'm seeing? You know? But to just kind of put the cherry on top of everything, growing up in the haunted house, it ended up having a failed exorcism. And so the experiences I was having, it was really targeting me until it wasn't really, and then the family kind of caught on to things. So that's kind of how I found out I had my abilities. It wasn't really like the sweetest opening to it or anything, but yeah, so it was more of a like catapult into you know.
It's kind of a I'm sorry I brought it up kind of story right there.
No, I'm not sorry for any of it, you know. Okay. It helped me find my path, truly, you know, and helped me figure out. I always knew I wanted to help people. I knew I was different. I just didn't know how. So all of that kind of just put it into perspective, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense, you know.
Interesting. Well, that's really cool, sort of. So it's really cool for people like that are interested in the topic, you know, but you know, if you're having to live through it, you know, that's terrible. I mean, like to put somebody like you obviously have, you know, abilities and gifts and stuff. So you kind of, like you said, grew up and wanted to help people and stuff, but there's a lot of people that, you know, come to my team, and I'm sure you as well, you know, if you go out and help people that have these very same experiences and don't want them, you know, they're seeing things in their house, they're having these experiences, and it's not something that they know how to deal with or handle, and they just want it gone. So
You know?
Okay, I'm sure that you've kind of dealt with these situations as well. Like, how do you what advice do you have? What do you tell people that you have these situations?
Depending on if they come to me looking for advice, solution, it's kind of depending case by case how I go about it. But people who are just like, I just want to shut it down and I don't care to tap into my abilities. I will simply tell them I could help them do a cleansing or instruct them. But putting your foot down, having boundaries a lot of times. People don't realize that these energies are people that have passed away a lot of times. If it's demonical phenomena, it's becoming more frequent, but it is still more rare, but it's people that have passed away. It just boils down to energy that, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed. And a lot of times ghosts aren't subject to exorcism either. So my best advice is like, kind of use your voice. You kind of have to put your foot down, have these boundaries. If something's in your home and you don't want it to be, you need to tell it to, like, with all due respect, get that up out, like,
Yep.
you got to tell it, like, this is my home. You are not welcome in here. You do not have permission. So doing that and regularly cleansing is actually more useful than not.
Interesting. When you have these cases and stuff, a lot of times we find people that don't believe in this. For one, they're not religious. They don't believe in any of that stuff. And number two, they don't believe in paranormal. They don't want to believe in it and stuff. So do you get a lot of pushback of people saying, like, well, how do I tell it to go when I don't believe that it's actually here? Does that make sense?
I do sometimes, because there are people that just don't. And the way I put it to them is, listen, you're having these experiences, and I'm not here, and I'll never push beliefs on anybody. But what I simply say is there are things that exist outside of our belief system.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we believe in it or not, something's going on, right? So it's like, regardless of our belief system, these things are going to exist. We know $1 million is real. Have you ever seen $1 million? I sure as hell haven't. You know what I mean? So it's like, but we know that's real. We know it's there. Many of us aren't going to see $1 million in our lifetime, though. So it's kind of just something like that. It's, if a plane crashes halfway around the world and I'm not watching the news, has it really happened yet?
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm at, from my standpoint, like, things are happening, whether we see it, whether we know about it. So if you're having issues in your home, but you're refusing to believe it, that resistance can be keeping it there in its own.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well,
yeah. I do want to back up a little bit here, because you kind of touched on this, but my second question was going to be, every medium, every psychic and stuff that, I've had on stuff, they're all a little bit different, and they all kind of tend to connect with spirit and the other side in different ways. Now, you kind of mentioned that you were seeing spirits, like the one crossing the road and stuff, but how do you connect? Do you physically see the entities? Do you only hear them? Do you get, like, pictures? How does it work for you?
So I will kind of connect with them on all the different aspects, and depending on I kind of like tap it. And I do believe that all mediums tap into all the clair abilities, though depending on what spirit they're communicating with is going to depend on how that spirit, are they using this clair ability? I am mostly clairvoyant, but I can hear, I can see them. I can just sense them. So, it's kind of, it just is depending on the spirit, really. And I do believe that mediums might gravitate towards one or the other. I really leave it very open to however the spirit is going to use communication with me. I try to be very conscious of my body. Our bodies are like natural pendulums. We just have to learn to listen and tune into that,
Do you find that different spirits, let me rephrase this, when they're communicating with you, do you find that maybe certain ones can't communicate certain ways?
Yes, I do. And a lot of times the thing is, because when we pass away, this is a 3-dimensional our body is three-dimensional. This is our shell. When we pass away, we don't have vocal cords anymore. We have to relearn communication entirely. And that comes down to electricity, because we're electrical beings, right? When we are about to die, they're using our heart paddles to try and, we need electrolytes to fuel our hearts, and brains. We use electrical, neurological transmissions and stuff like that. So so it's really depending on how long that spirit's kind of been around to relearn communication. Are they to the point where they know how to use the electricity and flicker the lights and siphon energy that way? Are they they might know how to leave certain symbols. They might know how to dial and tune into a radio or a TV, or so it kind of just depends on like how long they've really had to. And I do notice that, like, if they were more spiritual while they were physically here and they've done more of that inner work, I do find that they catch on a little quicker after that transition between life and death.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Oh man, now we've opened up a whole thing here. I have to make notes because all right, so with that being said, we have noticed, and I want to get your take on this too, that locations that if we get called to somebody's house and we bring a lot of paranormal equipment, we don't tend to get a lot of interaction. But when we go to a location like we run tours at, where the spirits are familiar with all the equipment, how it works, I mean, it's very night and day difference, where everything, you'll have the same equipment or different equipment going off at different locations because they're more used to it. So this kind of goes back to what you're saying is, they have to learn these things. Have you found very similar with I know obviously a medium, but do you use other things like REM pods or other things when you investigate?
I do, because it's kind of cool as a medium to see the communication other than just your senses, and it kind of validates what you pick up on as well. So yeah, a lot of times there's been times where I've had to call a REM pod an antenna thing, because they just are looking at it as an antenna. They don't know what a REM pod is, they're looking at the thing that flashes lights and has an antenna in the air, so yeah, really, like, talking to them like people. I think a lot of times people go into it and just are like talking to them like they're like a completely different breed or something, you know what I mean? And it's like, we're just people, you can go in there and just explain it to them. And it's just also like some people are more talkative than others, so some spirits might not be so chatty and warm and welcoming as others.
Mm-hmm. That is an excellent point, and I'm glad that you brought that up with the whole, I've seen so many times people come into investigations on our tours or, different locations, and they're like, can you make the REM pod light up? You are talking to someone that has maybe passed away 1800s, 1700s, 90s, whatever. And if they're not interested in the paranormal, they have no idea what a REM pod is. You didn't have paranormal television shows back then, and you're talking to these spirits like they've been ghost hunting their whole lives.
No,
and
literally.
Go there, go demonstrate what it is that you want to do. Walk up to the device with the antenna, the red and black round device on the floor, or, use colors, use, antenna, like you said, and get those interactions, because, it's no offense to the spirits, but they have no idea what you're talking about. Make the REM pod light up. I don't know what a REM pod is, I
mean, there's people that don't even know, like, people don't even know what we're doing. If you don't, like, there are people that are like, what is that device? What does that do? Like, nobody knows anything until they're told. Mm-hmm. So it's just, you're teaching the spirits how to communicate with you and how you need them to communicate.
Absolutely. And I found so many times that, people watch the shows on TV, and again, no disrespect to anybody out there, but every single paranormal investigator, I guarantee, probably has an EMF meter or a K2 meter, right? Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you probably at least 50% of them, if not more, have no idea what that is and why you use it. What the actual paranormal connection to the EMF meter is. I do a whole presentation on REM pods and EMFs and how they work and why we use them and all that stuff. So
Yeah, which I think that is needed and beneficial more so than not, because which I may not even know the exact with the EMF, but I'm pretty sure that is for close range. Is it not?
It's an electrical impulse. So, with, as you said, with, in our bodies and stuff, we have the electricity and stuff flowing through our bodies. And the general thought is that after we pass away, that energy becomes the soul. So you're able to manipulate the electromagnetic field and pass through devices such as that. We also more tend to use it for finding bad wiring and stuff in houses that is putting out the electromagnetic field and causing things like hallucinations, depression, anxiety, paranoia, because all that stuff, when you have it right next to your headboard on your bed, like those big digital alarm clocks, your cell phone chargers, they're really high in EMF. So when people are saying, oh, I see this shadow entity at the foot of my bed, and you have all this stuff up on your headboard, well, this is why you're seeing that every single night. There could be paranormal activity, but
there's
it probably
things
is
you need to be
amplified. Yeah, it's probably amplified by all the crap that's being bombarded into your head as well. So
absolutely. And notice even like your phones make the EMF go off, so people will have their phone too close to the EMF and they're like, ah!
yep. I've seen so many times where people have their cell phone laying on the edge of the table or whatever, and they got the EMF and they're going, look, it's lighting up. And I'm like, is your phone off? Is it on airplane mode? No. Well, there's your problem. Yeah. But,
yeah, literally.
Interesting. All right. So with going back to spirits knowing how to communicate based on longevity and learning and stuff like that, there's one specific case of Harry Houdini. And Harry Houdini was super into the paranormal and debunking it and the mediums and all these seances and stuff. And he always said that on the anniversary of his or on his birthday or the anniversary of his death, or that he would come back and make contact if it was possible. And historically, this has not really been the case. So in those cases, what do you think is stopping the spirits from coming back and making that contact that they said they were gonna?
Honestly, who's to say that they haven't still? Because there's so many people that are like, I've never had an experience my entire life. But then when you go down to deep questioning, they've had a lot of things happen that they kind of chalked up to something else, but didn't really get down to the source of it. So, I mean, who's to say he hasn't really? Have we missed it? Or, does he know how to communicate? Does he know how to make himself known? So there's, or like another thing too, like even people having vivid dreams of their loved ones or anything passing away, they don't realize that's a visitation. So that could be happening with his friends, family, and whatnot. And they're like, he never came back,
Interesting. Yeah, that's another good point. We miss the little things. That happen all around us, like things falling down, a picture always falling down of a loved one, and you don't take that as anything more than like a train going by or something, and the vibration, and it just happened to fall over. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Interesting. So a lot of the times we talk about how there's all these period clothing people, the spirits that you see, the apparitions, Gettysburg, stuff like that. But we never see people walking around in like a Britney Spears t-shirt, right? Like you don't see ghosts of this. So do you think that also has something to do with needing more time to kind of learn to manifest, to learn to show themselves?
I think a lot of times, like if you're seeing a spirit in period clothing, like from a certain time frame or whatnot, I truly actually believe that spirit may be earthbound and stuck there, or truly show themselves that way because that is their identifier almost. I mean, me as a media, I get clients all the time, so I do see spirits show up and they will dress exactly what is unique to them. So if that's very unique to them and their time frame, I do believe they are just going to show up that way or when they felt their best.
Interesting. I do see how that makes sense. Yeah. And obviously we do know that, the spirits of recently deceased come through as well. But we
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily see. Well, I guess we've heard stories of like people like seeing recent, like their family or whatever show up in their room at like the day that they die and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You don't see them at like haunted locations, I guess. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah, and that's something like, and I think that has to do with truly the history of the place too. And again, it's because you're going there, and you're going there with the intent to connect to somebody more historic. So the spirits are like, like hand the dog a bone. Like they're just,
Mhm. I,
they're just at that point excited to talk. I think because you're like setting the intention to talk to them almost.
it's a touchy subject, but I always bring this up as far as we always point to things like Gettysburg and like the battlefields and stuff because of the tragedies and stuff that have happened there, and this is where you see a lot of your apparitions and that. And we don't have the modern stuff because there hasn't been modern tragedies. And the most modern tragedy that I would think would leave that kind of psychic imprint would have been 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is, if you've been to New York or around the trade centers, there is so many people, so much noise, electrical, all this stuff that if there was spirits or anything there, you wouldn't be able to investigate, see it. It just kind of gets bowled over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there'd still be a chance to investigate, but like with all the people there, probably not. But if there were ever a chance, well, with all the electrical things being an issue, it can also be an amplifier for spirit as well. It can also act as a conductor, but then you have to know how to really debunk then and like really,
very, very non-conducive to bringing EMF and REM pods and things like that we're used to, I guess.
Yeah, it would have to be like going into a place where your equipment is going to go off. You would have to really plan your investigation strategically. I think that's when a psychic medium is a little bit more useful. And then checking up on history and talking to the historians, and maybe using more of like the spirit boxes or Ovilus, more things to try and actually get more communication than those other things that have to go off with,
I think I feel like that also would be probably even more overwhelming than going to like Gettysburg for like mediums and stuff and just the amount that's there.
Honestly, yeah, any place with like a lot of death, truly. Like, I mean, I went to the Conjuring House, and I mean, back in 2021 when Jen and Corey owned it, and the land there and how many people have died from like the King Philip War, and I was seeing spirits with that older gown on, and I felt sick. I mean, like I was so dizzy. If there were not people behind me, I passed out going up the stairs. There were 2 people behind me, thankfully. But the energy from that many people passing and that much tragedy, I could imagine that site would probably be very similar to that, where there's a lot of violence and tragedy. I mean, I could imagine.
Do you find yourself empathic as well with your abilities?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have trouble like in large gatherings, like at big concerts or festivals or anything? Do you get overwhelmed very easy as well?
Yes, I do. Actually, I find myself I'm not diagnosed claustrophobic, but it feels extremely claustrophobic and just high emotion. So, if I am going into a group of people, I really have to kind of prepare myself mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and then I'm fine. But getting to that point, it's almost like, it's training a muscle almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never really thought about that before with my other mediums and stuff. I'm gonna have to start asking that as well, because it would make sense if you're going into a paranormal location where there's like Gettysburg, for example, where there's all this death and spirits there, you'd be overwhelmed by that. So there's no reason to think that when you're in a large group of living people that the energy and stuff would be just as overwhelming. So
absolutely, because you never know who's sitting next to you. You could be next to a murderer. You could be next to, you never really know. You could be next to somebody who literally just lost the love of their life or their child, and you could be picking up on a murderer, like seeing all his victims right now, like pray, or you could be picking up on the mom that's grieving their poor child, and like just all that emotion, and then you're going home with that. That's like energetic debris that you end up going home with, and like
yeah,
so yeah, it's very important. You end up needing to like mentally prepare and then do something when you walk in the door at home.
Absolutely. Have you brought it up, have you when you've gone out to locations, have you ever gotten like a feeling, a sense, or like one of your spirit guides or anything say like, like that guy's a murderer, or like any kind of sense like off of people like that?
Off of living people, or
yeah.
I have before a little bit. Yeah, I want to say I've got like I honestly I do get vibes off of people very easily, especially if I'm in person meeting them. I know immediately what kind of person that person is, so I definitely have gotten vibes off of people before, and I did end up finding out later they were arrested for some things.
Interesting. I know, a lot of times mediums say they go out in public and they say like, I have, I get the urge, like, can I tell you something? Like I'm getting something, someone coming through for you, or a message or something. And, again, you don't think that it goes both ways. A lot of people are like, oh, I wish I had these abilities and stuff. And I don't know. I think that.
Yeah, because it's like, it can be I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely been times where I'm sitting at a restaurant with my mom and I pick up on her waiter and I end up making her cry or something. But then there's times where you go in public and you're like, we need to get out of here. There's something wrong with that person. Like it can be, yeah, it's a gift and a curse. When they tell you that, it is true. I enjoy it because I feel like it's better to have than to not, but and I help people with it. So there's not too much negative for me, but like it is something that like I don't think people think about.
Absolutely. We are live, guys, here on the show. If you guys have any questions for us, I see there's a whole conversation going on with Lee over here, but that's not pertaining to my show, Lee. That's all right. Here we go. Lee would like to know, do you ever get feeling drained just going to Walmart, being an empath?
It's funny that you say Walmart because, the craziest things happen there. And so, yeah, I do. Walmart is like, honestly, if there was a specific store I don't like going to, it is Walmart, because the walks of life you get at Walmart, and man, do you pick up on all of it. And yeah, because of how packed it is, really packed places like that. Absolutely. There's times where I have walked in and said, we got to come back because I feel like I'm going to have an, and then there's other days where I'm like cool as a cucumber, and I'm very I think it depends on how grounded I am that day and how much time I've really had to do that. But yeah.
We were just talking about this, myself and my mom and one of our mediums on my team the other day, is Walmart in the morning. For anybody that doesn't know, the first couple hours they're open are like sensory special hours. So there's no music over the PA system. All of the electronics TVs are on silent. It's utterly quiet in there. It is the best time of day to go to Walmart. I'm not sure the hours. I think it ends like 9 a.m. or something. It's right away when they open, from like 6 to 9 or something in the morning. And my mom was telling Ellie on my team about the one day we went in there, and I was fine. I was happy going through shopping and stuff. And all of a sudden I just got pissed off. And what happened was it ended. And all the music, everything came on. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize that. But every person around me was just like, get away from me. I don't want to talk to you. And just instant change of just everything, but it was because that sensory time ended and everything just overwhelmed. And so highly recommend anybody, yourself and anybody else listening and stuff, if you have this kind of issues and that, go right away in the morning, because one, there's not as many people there, and two, they turn off all the TVs and overhead audio and stuff. It's
oh my god. Yeah, good to know, because that, oh my gosh, I'll never forget the time Walmart lost power while I was shopping in there, and I was like, yeah
this is great.
You know?
I'll leave the cash on the counter as I walk out. We don't have to, no problem.
Right?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, Lee says, I have intentionally armored up going into Walmart.
You know, I think even if you're not a medium, you might have to.
Yeah, very much. In all aspects. Physically armored and mentally. Some days in Walmart, you never know.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, like.
Yeah, Walmart's yeah. Anyway. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your demonology and stuff.
Yeah.
So I've recently started thinking about this with everything being energy, and that the thought has come up to me. We've all probably, you've obviously seen Ghostbusters, right? No,
I get made fun of for it so bad. I've not seen that one movie of I know, I live under a rock. I also come from like Buffalo, New York, and don't eat chicken wings. This is just the type of being I am.
right.
So I've not seen Ghostbusters. I need to. It's on my list.
I as terrible as that is, I forgive you, because there's a lot of things, like I used to own a haunted house attraction, and everyone's like, oh man, you ever see this horror movie? I don't watch horror movies. You know, I don't watch any of these. And then like all the paranormal shows that are out, people are like, do you watch this? I don't watch any TV. You know, like I don't watch any of this stuff. So I'm right there with you. I understand. I just kind of assume that everybody knows Ghostbusters, but okay.
You know.
So my recent thought is so in Ghostbusters, they use proton packs that are energized, basically nuclear reactors kind of on their back, and they shoot these electrical waves at spirits that entrap them, and then they can suck them into a ghost trap and collect them. That's the premise of the movie. So I'm curious if this would actually work. And I'm not trying to trap anybody's grandma or anything, but like with demons and stuff, if everything is energy and, you know, all this stuff is on energetic frequencies, wouldn't it be possible to create something that would actually trap that energy?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
Not a demonic entity. Only because people would be trying to measure a spiritual matter with science at that point.
Okay.
Science and spirituality. I mean, while spirituality can explain some things, demonic entities were never human. I think spirituality and science, I think science can explain human spirits, because we generally use, you know, electricity to communicate, like we're electrical beings in general. But when it comes to like that, and that's why I believe that there's not legitimate evidence of angels or demons. There's only stories and hearsay, but there's actual evidence of human spirit all over now. So I don't believe that we could trap, and especially demons, they're demonic entities. There is no human that could create that. There's no human strong enough to even take on a demon, let alone to create something that could hold one back. That's why in any cultural background or any religion, they're calling on that higher power, whatever it may be. It's called something different in every cultural background and every religion, right? But they all resort to the same thing because the same thing works.
Interesting. Very well said. Very said. All right. So
there's a trap at all. I mean, I guess you could consider just when you send the demons to the pit, if you believe that, or if you send them away, I guess that could be considered, but I don't believe that there's any spirit trap.
Okay. Well, so let me dig a little bit deeper into that. If if everything is energy, all our souls, our spirits, whatever you call them, are energy. If a demon or is an angel as well, then if you're saying this, if they're not energy, then what are they?
Well, they are energy, but they would be more cosmic beings. They're more cosmic. They're not from this earth, whereas any science or anything that we've created science based off of earth. These things aren't earthly beings by any means.
So you don't think that science applies to other beings that aren't from Earth?
I don't think that we can measure their phenomena as well with science when they're not human spirits. No, I don't believe. I believe we could get more answers slowly but surely, but I don't believe that there's any way to trap an entity with the science we have. I don't think we could trap an angel with the science we have. Their power is just far too great. The things that they know, it's almost like, if I could compare it to like how the government and how much they really know that we just don't, and how much power they really have, it's kind of like that. The angels and demons are like the government. Like there's, if there is a way to compare to that. But that would be just my way to explain it. I'm sure there's so many better ways to explain it than that. But I would just say that I don't think that there's any technology that we could create that could, and if there were, I think we would have been there by now, because we say that we can cure cancer. There's so many things that the government knows how to do now. If there was a way to, I think it would have been done.
Maybe.
But it couldn't be in the future. But
yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty up on tech stuff, and like I said, I know like how Ghostbusters was written, Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, and they were both very into the supernatural, the paranormal, believers, and all this stuff. That. So a lot of the stuff in Ghostbusters, a lot of the spirits, the terminology, and all that stuff is, we'll say, accurate to what we believe, right? So if we believe a spirit has energy, it has energy. Like that's how they made the movie, was based on the information that we believe. So I'm always been curious, like that, if it'd be possible. But even with all that said, like I'm not sure that I could figure out how to do that. I don't know of anything that has trapped electricity. Like it doesn't stay anywhere; it flows. So,
right, exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. So, it's like a mind. It's a mind twister almost a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, we have a question for you here. Octoman says, what are the biggest steps I can take to open up and let myself shine? I struggle with depression forever. I've struggled with depression forever. I feel spiritually oppressed, almost held back. Sorry if that's a little heavy.
No, that's okay. I always tell people I'm a safe, open space. So, honestly, I feel like my spirituality has helped me with my mental health. And what I can say is that spirituality is going to look different to each person. But I think finding your own energy and really knowing your own energy and looking inward, because it could have to, like, is it the people surrounding you? Is it the things that you're filling your life with? Because a lot of times we're usually we accept the love we think we deserve, and we usually surround ourselves with people that reflect on how we feel about ourselves. And we usually pick the habits, and it's easier to do the things that are unhealthy and bad for us than it is to choose what's good. We're taught that as humans. So I would say just taking a deep look inward, doing some journaling, and like a lot of self-care, doing things that matter to you, not what everyone else would want you to do or what you think you should be doing. Things that just simply feel good to you, and journaling and being very conscious.
He also comes back to say he keeps his fluoride to a minimum, and definitely right about meditating. That's literally on my list of things to increase.
Yeah, and meditation, it does help, and it doesn't need to look like what everyone assumes, it's just sitting there humming. If it's painting for you, if it's cleaning and listening to music, if it's dancing, movement of the body helps release trauma tremendously. Use your crystals like while you're doing this stuff. Like cleanse, like, if you're worried about closed practices, you could do ancestry, find out what cultural backgrounds is in your DNA, use herbs from that, cleanse while you're like painting or whatever you're doing, playing guitar. You'll find your spirituality. You might get thoughts and downloads that come in, just journal them.
I love this. Lee says, what really helped her get over depression? I got kittens. I'm not even kidding.
I will say animals are the easiest cure, the cure all, probably. So
absolutely,
mine's right here. So
awesome.
Can confirm.
Yep, kitties are awesome. I have too many things in my house to knock down though to have kitties. So.
Oh no. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, my dog acts like a cat, so it's like, it works.
Awesome. All right. So is there anything else, anything you want to cover? Anything that we haven't got a chance to talk about? Anything, you mentioned you want to talk a little bit more about demonology and stuff. Is there anything specifically you want to make sure people know about it, or advice that you have?
I think my greatest advice to people is, like, when you're watching these paranormal shows, I think that they see all this happening on TV and they want to go jump in and think it's going to be all fun and games. And you can really sometimes bring something home with you, get yourself into trouble. You could get somebody really attached to you for no reason. I think it's just safe to say that if you're considering finding your spirituality, just try to take a month or two to learn grounding, discernment, practice cleansing and protection, and kind of finding your knack, kind of finding what you're drawn to. Don't rush in. That would be my biggest thing, is like, don't rush into it.
Absolutely. I find a lot of people want to get started in the paranormal, and the first thing they do is they go and investigate graveyards and cemeteries. And yeah. I just highly do not recommend that. I mean, you can talk to spirits there, but you can also talk to spirits at your house or anywhere else. If there's somebody, a loved one that you want to talk to, they're with you always. And the things that are specifically going to be hanging out in cemeteries are the things that are going to follow you home. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, there's truth behind that. And as a demonologist, how people talk about, like, oh, when there's a demon in your home, there's that foul odor and da-da-da. These things hate humans. They do hang out in graveyards underground watching bodies decay, which is why they smell like decaying bodies, because they hate humans that much. So it's like, you go to a graveyard and you don't protect yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. Have I gone to graveyards? Yes. I enter with caution, and you have to be so respectful of the spirits that are there and buried there and their family members. You have to be respectful, but also that is exactly where things are going to hang out. Pretend to be this, that, or the third, and they will follow you home. It's just perfect grounds to feed on the spirits that are actually there, people that come to visit their loved ones, people that come to investigate. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of sadness and a lot of depression and emotions. It seems like Walmart. We were talking about that. People go to cemeteries in their lowest points. For a lot of people, their family dies. They're there for that reason, and all that energy is there. There's a reason things are there feeding off of it, and it's not the spirits and energy that you want to interact with if it's something you want to get going with.
Negative entities, negative people, spirits that have done bad things, and negative entities like to hang out in places where there has been a lot of sadness, a lot of violence, hospitals, graveyards, war sites. That's just going to be places that you're likely to have something follow you home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my biggest thing with people that want to get involved in it. So where excuse me, where do you suggest somebody should start investigating? If you want to go on your first paranormal investigation, where do you send people? Where do you tell them if you want to get involved in this?
Honestly, if you feel like you want, let's say, you've done a little bit of grounding, cleansing, protecting, and you're not too worried about that. Look up what's local around you. You could go somewhere truly just like, it could be a public park that has some history for all you know. It could literally, I mean, maybe you have a house in your family that people have owned for a long time. Talking to your ancestors, like you could really start off just by talking to your loved ones that have passed away and asking them to use equipment. It doesn't have to be necessarily going to a location, but you could literally just find something local to you. Look at your local history.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great advice. Places like that are positively energized. Like, let's say, we have, this is the first thing that popped into my mind, but like in Illinois and stuff, you have like the home of Abraham Lincoln, where he grew up. Like, go there and try and talk to Lincoln, because here's a location that is attached to that person, that spirit, in a positive way. People like, Lincoln's just, the first name that came, but there's all the houses of famous people and stuff that, not famous people, but don't go to celebrities' houses and try and investigate them. But, all these, historical landmarks, historical markers and stuff where something positive has happened. Some, a person grew up there, a person lived there, something was invented there. Talk to the positivity part of history.
Exactly. Don't go looking for something negative. Like, it doesn't always have to be negative. Nor do you want it to be. Like, everyone thinks that's going to be so fun, and until I'm getting my phone call at like 11 p.m. at night, like.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. I don't know if this is legitimate or not, but this is a very interesting comment. He says, "Hey, what about my first paranormal expedition I'm planning? The Hockomock Swamp, only in the heart of the Bridgewater Triangle." That is very ambitious for a first location, I will say. Yeah.
I have no clue where that is.
Oh.
But I like live under my rock in New York right now, but if you're having an event or doing an investigation at a very haunted location, which the vibe I'm getting is very haunted, and I do get like the sense that there's more negative energy there, I would bring protection with you and do something before you leave and when you get home.
Yeah.
Like, raise the vibration, put on a funny movie when you get home, and stay up and cleanse and
detox from it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Bridgewater Triangle is in not Massachusetts. Anyway, Bridgewater, and it's everything from UFOs, orbs, aliens, Bigfoot. It's a very odd location, and the Hockomock Swamp is right in the heart of that. So best of luck. I definitely, if you do go there and this is legit, you let me know. I want to know what happens. So
yeah, right. Oh my gosh. I'll report back.
Yes, report back. And Lee says, I went to look at a statue in the Waupun Cemetery, and something did follow me home. That was way before I knew about protecting myself. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very common. They might make an emotional connection with you or if you're left vulnerable for any reason. You just wanting to be open to spirituality can just invoke that.
Mm-hmm. Same as any investigation that you go on, make sure that you're healthy, for one, that you're not lowered immune system and stuff like that. And in a very good mindset, because if you're not, when you go into these locations, you're going to have issues as well.
Yeah, it's like setting the intention. If you go somewhere and you're feeling low, you're going, it's like vibrations attract like vibrations. You're going to want to make sure that you're level. Go into it with a good energy, a good vibe. If you don't want to go into it if you're having a rough day, if you're not feeling good. Like if you're sick, if you're physically sick and have a weakened immune system, emotions can weaken your immune system. Like frequencies and everything matter with sickness, with emotions. If you're feeling scared, that can weaken your immune system.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely making sure your vibrations are where they should be.
Absolutely. We are coming up on the end of the show here, guys. If you have any last minute questions for my amazing guest here, throw them in the comments section and we will get to them before we wrap up. Alex, it's been awesome. This is a terrific conversation. I've really enjoyed this. Is there anything you got coming up? Anything you'd like to promote? Any places that you're going to be speaking or events that you got going on?
Not too much right now. I'm actually just going to be in the process of moving here in a couple weeks-ish. So then within the next few weeks, I'm hoping to start to get things back up and running. But for now, I'm just here to let people book readings with me, and I'm hoping to get back with investigations soon.
Very cool. Very cool. And your website is in the show notes for anybody. It's a really cool website, by the way. Very cool graphically and pleasing to look at. So I was pretty impressed with that, checking it out. So
honestly, my boyfriend Pablo made it, and he does really good with that stuff. And I was very shocked by it too, because my original website did not look like that.
Yeah, I obviously I go to a lot of websites and links and stuff for the show notes and that, and it was really cool. I was like, well, this is really interesting. You're a medium, It was a little bit. I don't know, not fancier, but aesthetically pleasing than just the plain background and everything. And I was like, that's pretty nice. So
yeah, I really like it. Yeah. So
definitely
if
go
anyone
check
wants
it
to
out.
check it out. Yeah.
Go check it out. Let her know what you think. Send her a message. Tell her about the website. So there you go.
Definitely. No, I appreciate being on. It was really a pleasure, and I'm like a professional yapper too, so anytime.
Oh, absolutely. It was a blast. I enjoyed our conversation today very much. So
Me too. I appreciate the invite.
oh, absolutely. All right. Well, it doesn't seem like any new questions here. So just Lee says good luck with your move.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And Bridgewater Triangle is in Massachusetts. So that was right. Oh, there is a puppy. You must introduce the puppy on the screen.
Come here. Come here. This is Cooper.
Cooper. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Purebred beagle. He's very sensitive to spirit too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You say hi, buddy.
Very cool.
He had to pop in. He loves attention.
It is an unsaid rule that if there is a pet in the background, they must be introduced on camera. They cannot hide back there. So.
Oh, I love that. That's a good rule to have.
It is.
You don't too.
Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and you are welcome back anytime. If you have anything coming up or anything you'd like to promote or talk about, feel free to shoot me a message, and we'll have you back on. And
yeah, definitely. Anytime.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you later.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you.
You too. All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Thank you guys all for tuning in and liking, subscribing, and sharing all things here on the Untold Radio Network. And, of course, Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. Check out the show notes and Alex's amazing website. Go check it out. Let her know how cool it is. And until next time, guys, remember, we're all part of the Paranormal Spectrum. Take care, be well, and I'll see you next week.